Hi, I'm Fergal, and this is my level design document for Inquisition. Inquisition is a first-person stealth platformer set in an alternate medieval world ruled by the Guardians, a cult that uses dark magic to control society. Players take on the role of Elias, a soldier whose brother has recently been captured as a heretic. Unable to fight the Guardians directly, Elias joins the Resistance, using stealth, traversal, and magic to infiltrate their strongholds and gather intelligence. The game emphasizes non-linearity, allowing multiple approaches to objectives. Each level requires reaching a target location, completing a task like retrieving an item or assassination, and then escaping. Movement includes standard FPS mechanics, such as contextual leaning and free running abilities such as vaulting and wall hopping for evasive and exploratory purposes. Players also have access to gadgets like a grappling hook crossbow for reaching ledges and retrieving objects, smoke bombs to obscure vision, and a crossbow for stealth kills. Magic powers, which drain from a regenerating energy pool, include premonition to see enemy patrol paths, charm to manipulate NPCs, and warding glyphs to create temporary barriers. There are two main enemy types in the game. Zealots can teleport unpredictably and use melee and ranged attacks against the player, and High Priests have long vision ranges and will pull the player in with magic, making escape impossible once spotted. Detection does not cause instant failure most of the time, except against the High Priests obviously, but direct combat is rarely survivable, reinforcing the stealth focus of the game. The world is designed in a Gothic architectural style with towering stone structures and high contrast lighting that highlights the traversal paths. Shadow and light affect visibility, while the sound design includes cavernous echoes, an eerie soundtrack, and Gregorian chanting near the cult activity in the main hall of the level. Following immersive sim principles, Inquisition integrates mechanics for problem solving, player-driven pacing, and diegetic tutorials within the game world. Objectives are guided by environmental cues rather than explicit on-screen prompts. Themes of power, corruption, and morality shape the player's experience and progression. Now going through my level map, we start down here near the bottom of a cliff face, where we can clearly see this stronghold, which is our primary objective, in the distance up the cliff face. To learn the movement mechanics, we have to perform a small obstacle course, which was that diegetic tutorial that I mentioned before. So we have to jump over this bit, jump and clamber up here, sprint and jump over this bit, and then sprint and wall hop across this bit here. And worth noting is that failing any of these jumps doesn't result in a massive loss of progress. You basically land on the ground beneath and you can return back to where you were. Then when we come to this bit, you learn the grappling mechanic in order to ascend the front face of the building, which is built into the cliff, and you can grapple to any of these 3 points, which are lit up with lights beneath them to make them obvious to the player. And then once you grapple up to this ledge, you have your first encounter with the 2 guards here. You can't engage with them both at once, so you need to wait for them to follow a path to the sides, and then you can assassinate them or simply sneak in. While waiting, the guards share some dialogue that gives you a clue as to how to get to the Grand Inquisitor's office, which is the main objective of the level here. Entering the atrium here, there is a conveniently positioned podium here to hide behind, and this is where the level branches off into different pathways. From this room you can go through the door on the left, go through the door on the right, grapple up onto the walkway above here, which has its own paths, and here you might have some dialogue from the guards and the gatekeeper that hints that all the entrances to the main hall are locked. In this playthrough we will go to the left first, so we can grapple up onto these chandeliers here and jump across them to sneak past the enemies below. And this is an idea called giving the player a privileged perspective, which basically means getting to a high vantage point where we can see what's going on below us, but the enemies can't see us. So this room here, marked 7, is the barracks, which is where we can get a set of robes, which is part of one of the optional ways to progress through the level. If we then continue up this corridor, we get to the chapel here, which contains a ritual circle where we can learn a magical power. First we need to take care of the High Priest, which is patrolling this area. Once he's taken care of, we can investigate the ritual area, where we find a note saying where to find the ritual procedure, which is in the archives over here. Once we've gone to the archives to get this, we can go back to the chapel and perform the ritual, and now we have the charm power. Now we have the two requirements to trick the gatekeeper into giving us the key into the main hall. So if we return back to the atrium, this is where the gatekeeper is. So with the disguise, we can walk straight up to him in the open and use the charm power to trick him. And then with our disguise, we can walk right through this area filled with the cultists in this main hall, which is now unlocked. And from up the front here is the entrance to the Grand Inquisitor's office, which is the main objective. So the main things I wanted the design to achieve quickly are the player intentionality, which is players making their own choices, working objectives and side quests into the narrative and the world building, and creating an immersive sim that leans more towards horror by taking away some of the power that the player would have in other immersive sims like Dishonored. And that's everything. Thank you for watching.